Well, well, well. Isn't it time for tech news? Yes, it is, bitch. So, today we have 3 stories like usual. First story is about XAI, Grok, Elon Musk, AI, OpenAI, the feud. OpenAI was supposed to be open source, it is now closed source. Elon is firing back at it by open sourcing Grok. The next story is about Fisker, the car company, the Fisker Ocean, and MKBHD, how shit went down and how they might go bankrupt. And the last story is about JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in America. Turning away 90% of manual labor for AI, we are all going to lose our jobs. So these are today's stories. Let's dig the fuck in and have fun. Sorry, I'm swearing too much. So, OpenAI, which is actually a company that Elon Musk was heavily involved in launching back in the day and supporting with the financial, means of it. So he has a natural link to it, but he's not involved in it anymore, and some shit went down, and we're going to get into that. But it was called OpenAI because, as I understand it, Elon Musk wanted it to be an open source, a non-profit company to make sure that security around AI is high and is with sort of the people's interest in mind and not business and not monetary motivations. So hence the name OpenAI, open source. Now the reality is that it today has turned into a closed source for-profit company. And this is sort of what Elon Musk was initially kind of tapping at and saying, well, is this even legal? I feel like if it's legal, why don't everybody just do that? That's what he said at one point. So I can see, just right off the bat, just sort of an initial, without looking too much into it, there's like, okay, there's some, there's a point there. So, the headline of the story is that Elon Musk actually is suing OpenAI, which is kind of crazy. But now after suing OpenAI, putting in that lawsuit and going crazy, OpenAI quickly came out with an answer, and they released this paper that I'm going to show on the screen, because actually this is where the story gets kind of a lot more interesting. It looks like Elon Musk actually was one of the people from the beginning that kind of knew that OpenAI would have to become closed source for profit at some point to be able to compete with the likes of Google, which was the kind of the monopolized place to go for AI back in the day. Larry Page and stuff, whom Elon Musk used to be friends with, but they kind of started disagreeing on stuff, and he was worried that Google had all the power, so he wanted to do something to sort of snap back at it. But he understood that it would require millions or billions of dollars every single year to buy the compute and build the compute needed for these AI systems. And you just couldn't raise all that money with a non-profit, you know what I'm saying? So he already from the beginning, as you can see here in some of the mails that were leaked by OpenAI, he was actually proposing that you would sort of have to turn it into that, and that maybe you should find a cash cow, which is the exact word he used. But he sort of said maybe we attach it to Tesla, and Tesla can be the cash cow for OpenAI, which sounds like the solution that they actually went ahead and did and linked up with Microsoft. So now Microsoft is the cash cow instead of Tesla. Elon Musk is sort of implying that this is not good. But it also looks like from reading these texts that Elon actually knew that this was going to have to happen at some point anyways. It seems kind of a little bit iffy. I'm not going to lie. And now this merging between OpenAI and Tesla that Elon proposed back in the day, where Tesla should sort of be the cash cow for OpenAI, was actually, it seems here, it sort of is written in a way where it proposed that was the thing that they could not agree on, which then led to them splitting up and going, separate ways. And you can also see in this part of the text that Elon Musk said already back then that if they couldn't do that, he would just start his own and do it himself, which is what he's doing today with XAI and Grok. But it just seems kind of curious that he's sort of putting up this very negative angle on the behavior of OpenAI. And then you go look back at what happened back then, and it seems like Elon Musk knew that this was the behavior that had to happen eventually for OpenAI to continue. So, it seems kind of double morally. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens, down the line with this thing. I mean, speculation is that Elon Musk is now sort of proposing this whole angle against OpenAI and trying to take him down because they're being dishonest and they're actually not following the rules. But then it just seems kind of fishy that he was the one back in the day to sort of almost plan these things, but he just wanted his control over it. But hey, it's still an open thing, ongoing thing. Let's see what happens. If you want to get an update on it, you know what to do. Subscribe to that motherfucker right there, and I'll update you. And not only will I update you, I'll also keep you entertained. I want to sort of add to the end of this first story that we're talking about something regarding the sort of main guys involved with the AI and the ones who are standing with the technology that will most likely end up being the AGI introduction.
Introduction
to the modern world, to the society, to humanity, right? And this is going to change everything, and I like to take like a humorous angle on stuff generally, because I think that sort of lightens it up and that's nice and that's fun, it's a good way to cope. But I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit harder when we're talking about these things, because there's just so much at stake. You feel me? So much fucking at stake. Like, this feels like something that genuinely has the potential to end it all. So that's why it can be a little bit hard to joke about, you know what I'm saying? But I'll try to joke. Okay, let's try to joke. In fact, here's a joke. Why was the computer cold? Because it left its windows open. Okay, I just asked ChatGPT to make a joke. It wasn't my joke. I'm not going to take credit for that motherfucker. Actually, the fact that this is where we at with the joking capabilities of ChatGPT, maybe we're not that close to AGI and humanity ending and everything anyway, so that's kind of nice. Okay, I'm get back here. Okay, so next story, the Fisker Ocean. It is a new car from a Danish designer, actually, and I am Danish, so it's kind of, I'm extra interested, because I'm like, so what are we doing as a country? Are we doing shit? Well, it seems like we're doing pretty bad, because they might go bankrupt. I don't think they will, actually. I think they're just going to chill the fuck out and they're going to, start doing a little bit better. But what happened? Let me tell you what happened. Fisker Ocean is a car that has been sort of, teased for a long time. Electric car, obviously. Finally, it sort of came out, was out for a little bit. And then MKBHD, he also has a channel called Autofocus, where he reviews cars. But, it's MKBHD. He's a big tech guy, and he's delved into the car space. And now he's a pretty big sort of contributor to that whole thing. And they tried to get their hands on a Fisker Ocean for some time, couldn't, and they were in contact with Fisker and they were saying, wait a little bit, we have updated, and so he got his hands on a Fisker Ocean through some other way, some guy, he knew a guy, it's always good to know a guy. And what happened is that he ended up doing a little video on it, and that video had the title, "Worst Car I've Ever Reviewed," which is not the most successful review in the eyes of Fisker, let's say that, So I understand the frustration. And there have been some clips surfacing with some guy talking on the phone with the guy that actually provided the car, and he's stressing. And a funny little detail that I caught on to was that he didn't even know who Marquez was. And it seems like none of them really understood who Marquez Brown, the MKBHD, was, which I think is quite problematic if you are sort of a new electric car company. You have to know who the guy is reviewing your shit, painting the picture that millions of people are going to judge your product based upon. Actually, recently, Marquez made a video with the CEO of Rivian. I found it just quite curious. The contrast is crazy. Obviously Marquez is going to get a Rivian R2 and R3. He's going to get them in and he's going to review it completely objectively from his side, where here it was a little bit biased by the fact that he was, walking around with the CEO, so he wouldn't roast the fuck out of it. But it really seemed chill. It seemed like he could say what he wanted. It seemed like it was open, and just, here's a CEO who understands the power of these guys in the tech reviewing space, who understands it's actually a huge opportunity for the car company and for their branding to sort of fuck with their reviewers. Just be like, what's up, homie? You can just take our product apart. We don't care. Let's go. Let's create. We're here to build a good product. What do you want? Can you help us make it? It's epic. Obviously, you don't want something, paid under the table, sort of biased stuff that, sponsored, all that shit. So people will be on that and on the lookout, and if they find anything that's fishy, they will surely Fisker Ocean it, you know what I'm saying? No. Speaking of fishy, Fisker Ocean. Yeah, it didn't turn out great, and it seems like the CEO there, or whatever, the people at the Fisker company, they're just boomers. The boomers. And that bit him in the toe, that bit him in the dick this time around. So we're gonna have to see what happens. Stock is plummeting. But also, I watched the video, and it seems like it was actually a pretty fucking annoying car that just had a bunch of bugs and was weird and annoying and just damn, You even heard the guy who was on the phone as a representative from Fisker admitting on the phone that this new 2.0 update actually still didn't fix everything and shit like that. And the thing is, the car is out. This is the car that people be buying and are living with. So yeah, I think it's completely fair. And it's a trash car at this point, so fix it, Fisker. The market is rough. You gotta strap up and get ready, you know what I'm saying? You're against big players here. So Danish people, they need to strap the fuck up, you know what I'm saying? Damn. Huh? Alright, so last story of the day. JP Morgan, a bank in America, one of the biggest banks in America. They sort of released, or there's a news story I read about it, where it is with a lot of their big sort of commercial clients that 90% of the manual work in relation to numbers, I presume, banking shit, has been taken over by AI as sort of an AI software that they've been working on for a couple of years, and now they finally implemented it. And the value of JP Morgan is set to increase by billions because of this software, and it is really groundbreaking. And I do believe it. It doesn't sound like just empty words. It could be some marketing says we got this, but we know the times of advanced and very useful AI is really rapidly just running in and punching the fucking door and saying, hello, ski, we're gonna fucking take all your jobs. And this is what is lurking with one of the biggest banks in America, which caught my eye because I've been thinking a lot about this thing, and I've been thinking about like how it is going to be a thing. I'm looking at education personally, right? I'm like, what even makes sense? It doesn't make sense to go and take an education in accounting, I feel like. What happens if humans' workforce is literally just not needed anymore? So nobody needs my workforce. And the thing that made me survive, made me sort of able to buy things with money, was that I gave my workforce to someone who needed my workforce, right? Had a job. But now if this is not necessary anymore, then we're all just going to rot away. We're going to just die from having no money, right? So obviously, like, it can't function like that. But then you also gotta remember, so they do that, right? Cut off, fire everyone, and just use AI. But they gotta make money, right? Sell into the masses. But if the masses don't have a job because nobody needs their workforce, then they have no money to buy shit with. So the whole system collapses, right? Which is also why I found it interesting that JP Morgan, some representative for the company, actually stated in this article that they were looking at trying to work on implementing some sort of 3.5 days work week. So people work 3.5 days a week and get, the salary that they would get if they worked full time, right? Because a lot of their work has been, optimized by AI. And this way, it still functions. The whole system still functions. A future reality where we all sort of live in a more luxurious, free life, work less and get the same amount of money, right? Because we can just automate things. It's kind of similar to if I personally had a job, but then I invented an AI that could just do my job much quicker. And then I just, said nothing about it, but let it do it. And then it just did all the rough work, and I just worked for 20% of the time, actually physically, manually. And then the rest of the time I was still working, but my AI was doing the job, and I was just chilling, and drinking margaritas. And then we get into the whole discussion of what should we do then? Do we just start fucking just smoking weed and cracking pot and just fucking hookers, just degenerating, It's a real danger, I feel like. We need to talk more about this. But yeah, I found it positively exciting and interesting and, sort of affirming or nice and calming that JP Morgan themselves, again, it might be empty words, but they're talking about reducing cancer and reducing stress and making a 100 years lifespan possible because of fewer work days and stuff like that. And if this is true and there's a guy behind JP Morgan who's actually serious about these things, that's exciting and that's nice, that's uplifting, it's positive news. So I found that interesting, and we're gonna have to see. Again, subscribe if you want to get some other juicy news. We only get juicy news here. Was it juicy today? Yes? Well, then join the family. No? Well, then get the fuck out of here. Alright? We don't need you. I'm kidding. It's all love. I'm joking. Ironic. Dark humor. So that was today's tech news. And remember, it takes about a couple of months for the brain's wiring to adapt to new habits. Meaning if you start working out, all of a sudden going to the gym and you're all feeling all excited and you got a lot of motivation. And then, sort of everyday life hits you in the face and you get absolutely no motivation. You have to be disciplined to keep at that motherfucker, and it's just dreadful and annoying. Remember that you have to sort of wait just for a couple of months. I know that sounds like a lot, but relative to your whole fucking life, it's not a lot. So just don't be a puss. So you gotta go in there, you gotta force yourself to go in there, create a habit of it. And all of a sudden, your brain rewires itself so that what the brain expects to happen is to go to work out. And the thing with the brain is that it is a lazy machine. It is a sort of energy mind. It is energy saving. It's always got, battery saver turned on. Meaning it doesn't want to spend extra energy. So it just likes to go through the same patterns. Meaning if you rewrote the patterns over a couple of months, learning yourself to work out every day, then that will become your new norm. And then it will feel actually wrong and dreadful not to work out. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And with that said, without further ado, have a beautiful goddamn weekend or day or whatever. It's Tuesday. So.